I was 16 years old when my parents decided I was no longer their responsibility. No shouting, no dramatic fight, no tears. Just one quiet evening, and one suitcase placed beside the door. My mother stood there, arms crossed, not angry, worse, emotionless. My father didn't even look at me. He kept staring at his phone, scrolling like this moment meant nothing. "You'll be safer there," my mother said finally. Her voice was calm, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this line many times. Safer where? From what? I looked around my childhood home, the cracked wall near the stairs, the old sofa where I'd slept during exams, the kitchen that smelled like burnt tea every morning. This was my world. And in less than 12 hours, I was being shipped overseas like extra luggage. One suitcase. That was it. Inside that suitcase, 2 pairs of clothes. One old hoodie. My school certificates. And a photograph of me at age 6, standing between my parents, smiling. I didn't know why I packed that photo. Maybe I needed proof that once they wanted me. At the airport, my mother hugged me for exactly 3 seconds. My father shook my hand. "No, we'll miss you. No, call us when you land, just don't embarrass us." That sentence followed me longer than the flight ever did. A stranger in a strange land. The country was cold. The language felt sharp and fast, like people were arguing even when they were just talking. I was sent to live with a distant relative, someone I'd met once in my life and didn't remember my birthday. At 16, while other kids were worrying about parties and crushes, I was worrying about rent, papers, school transfers, and whether I'd be deported if I made one mistake. Every night, I lay on a thin mattress staring at the ceiling, asking myself one question. What did I do wrong? Calls that never came. I called my parents every week at first. "Are you studying? Are you staying out of trouble? Don't ask for money." We already did enough, that was it. After a few months, the calls became shorter. Then rarer. Then gone. Sometimes weeks passed without a single message. And slowly, painfully, I understood the truth. They hadn't sent me away to protect me. They sent me away because I was inconvenient. Age 17. I stopped asking for love. At 17, I got my first job, washing dishes at a restaurant where nobody knew my name. They called me, "Hey, boy, you." My hands cracked from soap and hot water. My grades slipped because I worked late nights. But I didn't complain. Because complaining meant weakness. And weakness was something my parents had no patience for. I promised myself something that year. One day, I will build a life so strong, they won't be able to touch it. Age 18. No congratulations. I graduated high school alone. No parents in the crowd. No photos. No celebration dinner. I sat on the steps outside the hall, holding my certificate, watching families hug and cry. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. "Good. Now focus on earning. Not we're proud of you. Not you did well. Just useful advice." That's when something inside me broke and hardened at the same time. The years they didn't see. What my parents never saw. Me skipping meals to pay tuition. Me sleeping in a shared room with 3 strangers. Me crying quietly so nobody would hear. Me choosing survival over happiness every single day. I worked. I studied. I failed. I tried again. While they lived comfortably back home, I was rebuilding myself from nothing. Age 24. The turning point. At 24, everything changed. I landed a job that paid more than I'd ever imagined. For the first time, I could breathe, save, dream. I bought my own bed, my own table, my own freedom. And that old photograph from my suitcase? I finally threw it away. But life has a strange sense of humor. At 27, I received a call from a lawyer. He used words that didn't feel real. Inheritance, assets, beneficiary. A relative I barely knew, someone who had quietly helped me years ago, had passed away. And somehow, they left everything to me. Not my parents, not their favorite relatives, me. The kid they shipped overseas with one suitcase. And that's when my parents called, after years of silence, after years of don't ask for money. My phone lit up with my father's name. His voice sounded sweet. "We need to talk," he said, "about what belongs to the family." My stomach dropped. Because suddenly, I wasn't an inconvenience anymore. I was an opportunity. They didn't miss me. They missed the money. My father didn't waste time with small talk. "We heard about the inheritance," he said, pretending it was casual news. "Congratulations." That word felt strange coming from his mouth. Congratulations. For surviving without them? For being abandoned at 16? I stayed quiet. Silence has power. I learned that the hard way. Sudden love. Within days, my mother started calling too. Her voice had changed. Soft, warm, almost loving. "You were always such a strong child," she said. "We knew you'd do something big." I almost laughed. Because strength wasn't something they admired back then, it was something they forced on me. Gaslighting begins. Then came the memories. The rewritten past. "Do you remember how much we sacrificed for you? We sent you abroad so you could have a better future. Everything we did was for you." For me? I remembered. Being 16, shaking at the airport, crying alone in a foreign bedroom, choosing between food and bus fare. But according to them, this was love. The real reason surfaces. Finally, my father said it. That inheritance, it belongs to the family, not. Are you okay? Not. Did you struggle? Just ownership. "As parents, we have a right," he continued. "You should transfer it to us. We'll manage it better." My hand started shaking. Because suddenly I understood. They didn't regret sending me away. They regretted that I survived without them. The guilt weapon. My mother cried. Real tears this time. "People will talk," she said. "They'll say we raised a selfish child. How can you live with that?" I wanted to scream. Where were these tears when I was hungry? Where was society when I slept on the floor? But guilt is a powerful weapon, especially when parents use it. The document they sent. The next day an email arrived. Legal papers. Prepared. Organized. Cold. They had already planned everything. All I had to do was sign. My name. My signature. My silence. And just like that, everything I'd built would disappear. The night I couldn't sleep. That night I sat alone in my apartment. The same kid who once owned one suitcase now owned something everyone wanted. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. I didn't see a selfish child. I saw a survivor, a fighter, someone who paid the price early so they could stand later. And for the first time, I asked myself a dangerous question. What do I owe people who abandoned me? A lawyer's warning. I called my lawyer the next morning. After listening quietly, he said, "You don't owe them anything. But be careful. Families can get ugly when money is involved." Ugly? They'd already sent me away once. What more could they do? I was wrong. The threat I never expected. 2 days later, my father called again. His voice wasn't sweet anymore. "If you don't do the right thing," he said, "we'll tell everyone the truth about you." "What truth?" I asked. "That you abandoned your parents. That you forgot where you came from." I felt my chest tighten. They were ready to destroy my reputation. To protect their pride. The pattern finally made sense. Suddenly, everything clicked. They didn't raise me. They used me. When I was young, I was a burden. When I grew strong, I was an asset. Love had conditions, and money was one of them. A deadline. My mother sent a final message. "You have 1 week. After that, don't call us family. I stared at the screen. 16 years ago, they made the same choice for me. This time, the choice was mine. They didn't wait for my answer. On the third day of their 1-week deadline, my phone started buzzing non-stop. Cousins, uncles, aunts. People who hadn't spoken to me in years suddenly remembered my existence. The public attack. One cousin messaged, "Shame on you. Parents don't abandon children, children abandon parents." Another wrote, "You forgot who fed you?" I read those words again and again. Fed me? At 16, I was fed by strangers. Paid for by my own bleeding hands. But lies travel faster than truth, especially when they sound respectable. How they controlled the narrative. My parents told everyone a clean, simple story. We sacrificed everything, we sent our child abroad for education, and now, when we need help, we've been betrayed. No one asked me. Because society already knows how this story ends, right? Parents guess victims. Child guess ungrateful. The secret they forgot. They didn't know one thing. The relative who left me the inheritance? They kept records. Letters. Emails. Messages. Proof, not just of the money, but of the neglect. I found a letter written years ago. It said, "If anything happens to me, make sure the money goes to the child they threw away." I watched them struggle while their parents stayed silent. My hands trembled. For the first time in my life, someone had seen me. The moment of truth. I didn't argue with my parents. I didn't beg my relatives. I sent one message to the family group. It included screenshots, dates, airline tickets, old messages saying don't ask us again. And finally, the letter. No insults, no anger, just facts. Then I left the group.
Dove's silence after the storm. The calls stopped. The messages ended. For days, nothing happened. And then, one message arrived from my mother. "I didn't know you kept all that." That's all she said. Not sorry. Not regret. Just fear of exposure. Brick the final conversation. My father called once more. His voice was tired. "You've made your point," he said. "Now let's move on."
Move on?
From abandonment? From hunger? From being erased?
No, irreplía.
We already moved on. You just arrived late. He hung up. Brain, what I finally understood. Family isn't blood. It's presence. It's showing up when there's nothing to gain. They weren't there when I had nothing. They only showed up when I had everything. Luggage, the symbolic end. I bought a new suitcase. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to remember where I started. Inside it, I placed my first job badge, my graduation certificate, the legal papers of the inheritance. And I locked it. Some chapters don't need revisiting. Seedling my peace. I didn't give them the money. I didn't seek revenge. I built a life they could no longer control. And for the first time, I felt light, not rich.
Free.
If you're watching this and you were ever told, you're a burden, you owe people who hurt you, you must sacrifice your future to protect someone else's pride. Remember this. You don't owe loyalty to abandonment. You don't owe silence to pain. And you don't owe your future to people who left you behind. If this story touched something inside you, like it, share it, and subscribe. Because somewhere out there, a 16-year-old with one suitcase needs to know they're not alone. Remember, you don't owe loyalty to abandonment. You don't owe your future to people who left you behind.